You're listening to Leadership Loading, a podcast that inspires leaders to be continuous learners and provides insight for those making the leap from the front line to the boardroom. My name is Jason McCaren, and I'm an Air Force firefighter veteran and safety expert turned entrepreneur and nonprofit director. I'm sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their leadership traits and lessons they have learned that can make an impact on future leaders. Hey everyone, it's your host Jason McCaren, and today we're talking about creating balance. This is part 5 of our 8-part series on resilient leadership. And creating balance, when I first started looking this up, I was thinking about, work-life balance. And the more I researched it, the more I looked into it, it's not all about just balance on your work life. It's all about forming an identity outside of your job. And, that's just one part of your identity is your job. And, you have to separate what you are from what you do. And so I like to think of this more as creating a work-life harmony. And that's what makes a resilient leader, and we'll talk more about that. I think that one part of this is tracking time. So if you look at tracking everything that you're doing, including your work stuff and personal activities, and that's gonna determine exactly what is taking up your time, and that's how you get your start on what do I need to work on, as far as do I need to stop doing this more or do this less, and then you're able to tweak your schedule and your life around those things. So for example, if you work a 40-hour work week, that's the minimum throughout the country, but you need to look at that and see, okay, is there a way that I can modify this work schedule and still meet what I need to do? Or am I taking 2-hour lunches, and that's making me have to work later during the day, and I can not take those 2-hour lunches, and take 30-minute lunch and be able to get home earlier. And that's just one example of how you can modify your activities. Then to kind of piggyback off of that, you have your priorities. What are your priorities? Obviously family is first for most people, and then you have other things. You might be the coach of your kids' basketball team or your soccer team, and you need to balance that in there because you want to spend that time with your kids, but also that's something you enjoy doing. And you want to analyze that and see, okay, what do I need to continue doing this, and can I do it differently and still meet the intent of that? So determine those priorities. Obviously work and family are going to be the two of the big ones there, but you want to make sure that all your other priorities are outlined and that everything's getting the appropriate amount of time delegated to it. Once you have your priorities set, then you can start setting your goals. So this goes back to all these leadership traits we've been talking about throughout this series and throughout this podcast. You're able to set goals and set objectives, and once you've outlined your priorities, you can set these goals and measure exactly what's going on. So if you're having to set up a schedule, or you're having to block time out for the activities that you now prioritize, you're able to put those into that those goals and make sure that they're established like you want them to be. Then once you've got all your priorities and goals set, now you can start kind of putting that into your schedule. You have only one timeline in your life. And this is one area that I kind of struggle, because I have 3 calendars I juggle right now, because I have a work calendar, my side hustle calendar, and my personal calendar. And on that personal calendar also includes anything that my wife puts on the calendar, and include birthday parties we go to with the kids, that sort of thing. So I'm working on some way to integrate all these, and that way I'm balancing everything on one calendar. But that also goes to the point that you can't schedule your work-life harmony down to the day. It's not going to be that 50-50 split like I talked about earlier. You can't say, okay, I'm putting in 8 hours of the day at the work, I'm going to put 8 hours into family and 8 hours into sleep. And that's my day. That's not going to work out. You have to expand that timeline. And you don't want to expand it so much that it's, I'm going to do, 50 hours a week of work, and then I'm going to cram in all my family time, on the last day of the month or something like that. I'm going to take one day off of the month and cram all my family time in. That doesn't work either. You got to find this balance and put this into your schedule. And that may mean setting aside time, to make sure that, your schedule is lined out and you're not wasting time doing that throughout the day. Once you get all that, your goals and everything and schedules and priorities outlined, then you want to establish boundaries. So now you've set all these goals and outlines and schedules. So now you've got to set the limits. Okay, I'm doing my 10 hours at work. When I get home, I'm turning off my phone, or I'm turning off email notifications. Personally, on my phone, my work email does not make a sound. It's all the notifications are off. I have to actually go in to pull the emails off the server, and that's just one way I've done to where my phone's not going off all the time. If someone has an emergency, they can always call me. Being that I'm in the emergency type field, that's one thing I have to, balance out with my life. And so that's one boundary that I've set. My wife and my family understand that, I'm on call or on, notice where I can get a call pretty much 24/7. And so they understand that I may get a call. It's rare, but it may happen. But also at my work, they understand that I'm not going to be answering emails pretty much after hours. There's no point for that unless it's an emergency, which they're going to call me. And that goes for your normal schedule also. So, you got to set these boundaries once again. Okay, I am not going to do any work things that are on birthdays. I'm not going to do any work things that are on, big events for my kids, proms, quinceañeras if you have those in your family. And then vice versa, if you have this certain thing at work that happens every year, say you have an annual audit or you have a, monthly meeting with, the board or something like that that's in the evening, of course that's going to take time away from the other part of your life. And so that's one of them boundaries you just have to accept and just work out with your family and or your work, depending on what the issue is. And after you've created that balance and set those boundaries, you got to take care of your health. There's a lot of people that go to work when they don't feel good, and that's not good for the employee or the leader. It's not good for the company, because one, you're not going to feel well, so you're not going to be performing at your best, and you're not going to be in a good mood, and you're going to be irritated and not approachable, which is not good for a leader. But also you don't want that toxic personality in the office, whether it be you or someone else. You don't want your employees coming to work when they're sick, but also in general health. You want to make sure that everybody's in good shape. They're eating well, and as a leader, you want to make sure you're doing that also, eating well. You don't want to be the hangry leader where you're irate because you didn't eat a good breakfast or you didn't sleep well the night before. And we got to make sure that we're doing all that, because it's going to keep our energy level, and then we're able to bring that energy and productivity into the workspace and be more productive throughout the day. And then it's not only taking care of your physical well-being, but also your mental and relationship well-being. When you doing this whole work-life harmony, you want to make sure that your relationships with your family and friends are maintained, and that you're collaborating with them outside the I'm in work mode or I'm in family mode. But take that time to send your spouse or your partner an emoji while you're at work. We want to be serious at work, but you want to also remind them that you're thinking about them. So while you're in that few minutes before that one meeting that you have, just pull your phone out real quick, shoot them a little smile emoji or or, whatever emoji you use with your spouse or partner, and just kind of, let them know you're thinking about them. Uh, if you have time during lunch, shoot them a call or a voicemail and say, hey, just thinking about you, I'm about to grab some lunch. And same thing with your friends. You have your friends, your best friends. You want to make sure that, you're keeping them, updated, and keeping them in your loop and making sure that they know what's going on in your life, and that you're able to, nurture that friendship so that they don't feel like you're just using them for, when you need something. And so, I like to, just ping my friends every couple days and just keep them in my mind and make sure that they know that, hey, I'm still your friend, and I'm busy at work, but hey, let's grab a beer one of these days this week, and make sure that, we keep on each other on our goals and anything that we've, been talking about. And then on that note, you got to make time for you, whether it be with your friends or in your things that you like to do. I don't golf per se, but if you like golfing, you know, take that time to go and shoot some golf balls, or if you like video games, take that time to play those video games, whether it be, after the kids are going to sleep and, your wife's asleep or whatever, or they're working on their projects, or watching their favorite show that you don't really like. You can get your you time in. A lot of times for me, that's when it's early in the morning and my family hasn't woke up yet, so I take that couple hours to my you time, and work on my passion projects, whether it be this podcast or side projects I'm working on, or just get you know my you time in watching, catching up on a show that I've been watching or something like that. And then kind of working on that, one of the things I have some trouble with is leaving work at work. Like I said, this whole work-life harmony is not a black and white. It's kind of a gray area, and there'll be times when I'll wake up in the middle of the night to let my dog out or something like that, and I think, oh, I didn't do this at work today. I need to make sure I do that in the morning. But then all of a sudden your mind starts running off, and it's not always an easy transition to just kind of separate those two. So usually what I'll do is I'll just kind of type a note in my phone, or write it down on a scratch paper that I have next to my bed, and that way I don't forget it, but then I can get it out of my brain and focus on what I'm doing. And that kind of goes into the next thing about working smarter, not harder. Technology, it can be a curse, but it can also be a helper. It can be a lifesaver. Like I said, you can type in a note real quick on your phone, and then it's out of your brain, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. But also, you can use technology to streamline your day. Put everything in your calendar and kind of line out your day. From 6 to 7 is my personal time. From 7 to 8 is my commute time. From 8 to 9 is, prep for the first meeting. For example, that's, it could be different for you. You may be the one that takes the kids to work in the morning, or to school on your way to work in the morning. And, that's included in your schedule there. And, once you have all that lined out, it's easier to manage your day and balance all your priorities. And then finally, just know when to ask for help, or, how to ask for help. I think one thing as leaders, we need to always focus on succession planning and delegating. And I think that if you build a team up and have them where they can successfully be delegated to, and that you can, not have to worry about things when you're not there, you're not in the office, or you're not at the business, or whatever you do, you don't have to, have that Superman or Superwoman image, and that you're able to, delegate that, and, take off some of that, weight off your shoulders, and you're able to unplug and spend that time with your family or friends and keep that harmony going. So with all that, it's possible to have a successful professional career, leadership career, and a fulfilling personal life, and taking control of all those to make sure that your work and life harmony creates balance for you, and that you're able to, keep up that, hard charging, moving forward personality, but also, not so much that you are stressed out every day and, becoming one of those toxic leaders. So with that, thanks for listening to me. Once again, this is Jason McCaren, host for today, and this is the Leadership Loading Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Leadership Loading Podcast. You can support this podcast on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/leadershiploading to get access to exclusive content, chats, and a whole lot more. Again, that's patreon.com/leadershiploading, or visit our website, leadershiploading.com, for more options.